everyone. Sorry I've been gone for a while. This past month I've been awfully sick, so it took some time to recover. The doctor said I had the flu, so that was keeping me away for some time. Please excuse the sunglasses. I've been having a lot of headaches and whatnot, so the sunglasses really help to alleviate pain when I'm looking at a computer screen. Have you ever stopped and wondered how the richest nation in the world can have millions of its own citizens struggling just to make ends meet? I mean, it sounds unbelievable, but the reality is far more shocking than you might think. Now, imagine this: 63% of Americans can't even cover a $500 emergency. Most folks don't even have $1,000 in their bank account. When a tire blows out, or there's a medical emergency, or an unexpected bill comes around, many Americans have no choice but to rely on credit. And guess what? Americans nowadays carry more than $1 trillion in credit card debt. These aren't just numbers on a page, they're a wake up call. Despite boasting the highest GDP on the planet, about 38 million Americans, or approximately 12% of the American population, lives in poverty. Now, how does that even add up? The system is broken. The reality is, most of us technically aren't even considered to be living in poverty. The system was designed back in the 1960s, and it needs a complete overhaul. It doesn't take into account the real cost of living today. The increased housing expenses, the unbelievable interest rates, the cost of food, the cost of basic childcare, healthcare, like all of these expenses just keep going up as inflation is going up. And you know what? They keep telling us that inflation is a good thing. 2% inflation is a good thing. I don't know in what world prices going up is a good thing. Like, this should not be a normal thing that we should come to expect. Deflation as a result of increased productivity is what we should be aiming for. And with the new technology coming in, with AI, with the Industrial Revolution, like, we should have seen deflation instead of inflation. But the reality is that the government keeps printing more and more money, and that is why inflation keeps going up, and our ability to survive as Americans nowadays is becoming pretty much impossible. The American dream used to be for us to be able to purchase a home, to have a family, to have kids, and nowadays it just feels like that is no longer possible. Most people are actually deciding to no longer have kids. They may even decide not to get married. Most people are struggling day in and day out just to make a living and just to survive. They are not thinking beyond the single day. They have no way of planning for the long term because they're just trying to figure out how to get food on the table for their family or even for themselves for that day. We are living in a debt trap that the government has pushed us in. And the government itself has been fiscally irresponsible. They can't seem to figure out how to get their budget in order. And I know the talk nowadays is that, with Doge coming and with President Trump coming in, that we will see a complete overhaul to the fiscal budget and things might actually get better. But the reality is that the American system is broken, and a president coming in for 4 years isn't really going to be able to change too many things. I believe Elon Musk said that through all of his efforts with Doge, they have been able to save about $40 million, or maybe it was 40 billion. But regardless, by cutting all of these USAID budgets and National Endowment for Democracy and like all of these foreign policy related budgets, we have only saved $40 billion. That really doesn't do too much like of a benefit for us as Americans when the national debt of the US is growing by $1 trillion every 3 months. $40 billion saved is nothing. Like our debt is still going up. And you know what? Like I know Trump is talking nowadays about putting tariffs on China and putting tariffs on all of these countries that are trying to de-dollarize. And he is saying that putting tariffs on all of these foreign goods is going to bring manufacturing jobs back to the U.S. and make America great again. And we are going to make a lot of money from tariffs. But the reality is we can't have both. If we're making a lot of money from the tariffs, then that means manufacturing jobs have not come back to the U.S. because we are still paying the tariff. And if the manufacturing jobs do come back to the U.S., then the U.S. government is not making a whole lot of money from the tariff. And at the end of the day, he's also saying that the tariff will be paid by the exporting country, like by China or by the South American countries, by Canada, by Mexico. But tariffs at the end of the day are always paid by the consumer. The ultimate expense is going to be paid, is going to be sent down to us, and we are going to have to pay it. So it is inherently inflationary. If everything has a tariff on it, we are going to have to pay a lot more for our goods. So it's only going to make the everyday American's standard of living even worse. So, I mean, unfortunately, the way things are going, it seems like the American dream is dead. Maybe for the 1% or people that are making like $300,000 a year, like it might still be affordable. But for the everyday American, for the single mother, for the previously middle class Americans, the American dream is dead. And the new American dream is to try and save as much money as you can in a few years, and take that money and move abroad. Because life in America is no longer sustainable. The U.S. has become a industrial corporate country. We are run by corporate America. We can no longer survive with the increasing cost of rent, with the increasing cost of basic necessities, of basic food resources like eggs, bread, just literally anything, healthcare, constantly spiking and going up. The reality is that the US and most empires historically have operated in cycles. You have the manufacturing cycle where productivity grows, manufacturing grows, and then that is where a lot of the wealth is accumulated. And then once the empire becomes the empire it is, the the population goes towards the investing stage. And then through the investing stage, we are no longer manufacturers, we are no longer builders, we are investors. And then through it, and our workforce starts to go abroad. After that, we become savers, or our savings start to dwindle. And once our savings start to dwindle, then we start to go into debt. So that is the fourth cycle that we are in. We are in the fourth cycle. We are in the stage of going into debt. Everyday Americans, as I mentioned previously, are surviving on debt. And then the final stage is the collapse of the empire. And I fear that we are quickly approaching that. So the only way to survive nowadays and to make the American dream work is to take the money that we earn in the US, take the benefit of earning in US dollars and the ability, the spending arbitrage, the income arbitrage that comes with that, and take it and move abroad. Go to other countries that are cheaper to live in, like Malaysia, like some countries in the Middle East, like Oman, like Dubai, like Thailand, like maybe even Greece, like countries like Turkey that are cheaper to survive, cheaper to live in, like Colombia in South America, like Brazil. Take the money that we earn in US dollars and go and move abroad. That's the only way the American dream works. And if we wait too much longer, even that will eventually close. That door will eventually close. We are approaching we are not in hyperinflation territory, but as countries begin to continue to de-dollarize, we will soon start to see inflation grow at a faster and faster pace as other countries will no longer be signing up to take the U.S. debt, and the U.S. will be forced to print more and more money, which will eventually lead to hyperinflation and the collapse of American society. Thank you for watching. If you found this to be eye-opening, hit that like button, subscribe, and let's keep the conversation going in the comments. Because when we shine a light on these issues, change becomes possible, but not inevitable.